Link for the final project file is in the description. You can download and play around with the scene. Okay, let's go. First, add a circle spline, change its plane to XZ. For size, enter something like 7, and for intermediate point, enter something like 5. Zoom on the circle, then add an arc, push it up, zoom out to see the arc, change its radius to something like 35, and for the numbers here, enter something like 40. Let's add an espresso tag on the arc, drag the arc here, on the arc, select and drag the start angle here, duplicate the arc, drag the end angle here, add a range mapper, connect the start angle to input, out the end angle here, on the range mapper. For the input range, select degree, for the output range also, and enter these values, 90, 90, 180 here. Now we have a symmetrical arc here. Whenever we change the start angle, the end angle also change with it. Let's continue. Add the circle inside the cloner object. Close the espresso editor for now. On the cloner object, select object here, drag and drop the arc for the object, change this distribution to a step, enter something like 3 centimeters here. That's okay for now. Add the cloner inside the spline mask. Add the spline mask inside the extrude object here. Change it offset to 0. ND on viewport to see the line for the topology. On the extrude, come to cap. Select regular grid. Enter something like 5 here. Come back to arc. For now, enter something like 10. Add the extrude inside and remesh generator, change the adaptiveness to something like 30 and change it to shading also check the symmetry X here, add the remesh inside and thicken object, change the subdivision to 4, add everything inside the null. On the null, first add a bevel deformer. For the values, enter 70 as angle threshold. For the offset, decrease it to something like 0.5, subdivision 4. That's good for now. Let's also add a smooth deformer, but add it after bevel. On a smooth deformer, don't change any parameters for now. That's better. Add everything inside the remesh generator. Where is remesh generator? Check the symmetry X here. For the mesh density, enter something like 10 here. That's better. Select the arc and this remesh, put them in a null. Call this sample maker. Now whenever we want an object like this, we can open up this sample maker, change the angle for the arc, and get an object like this with different levels of curvature. Let's duplicate this 2 times. On one of them, enter 0 here. Right click, connect object and delete the spline here. On the second one, select the arc and enter something like 35 here. That's good. Let's also hide the sample maker here from the scene. Click on the second sample maker, you just add it and connect object and delete for this also. Delete the spline here. Now we have 2 of these with different size and curvature. Rename them to a smaller, larger. It's a good idea to save the file for now. I changed the name for it to abstract Convex v1.1. Add the live. For now, let's hide the smaller one. We need to add a bigger boundary for each of them. So let's duplicate the larger one. Come here, add a displacer deformer on it. Come to shading, select the color here, NG, to see what's happening. This is very big, make it smaller. Let's come to object here, change its height to something more reasonable. That's okay for now. Let's also enable a smaller one, duplicate it on one of them, duplicate this displacer. Connect object and delete on the object with displacer deformers. Connect object and delete. That's good for now. Let's put the smaller ones into their shields. This is a smaller, put it here. Let's hide the bigger ones and make the visibility for the smaller ones to be on. That's good. Let's add a cloner object here. Put one of them in a cloner object. On the settings on cloner object, change the mode to honeycomb. Change this mode to per step. Enter values like this, 200 and 340. Come here to transform it. Come here to transform. Change this RP to -90. That's good. On the cloner, add a plane object. Come here to parameters. Check off the position. Check on rotation. Change this value RB to something big like 3000. Come here to field. Use a random field here. That's good for now. On the cloner object, come here to simulation tags. Click here, add a rigid body on it. Come to collision, change the friction to 0, and for hierarchy mesh level, enter 1. Duplicate this cloner object. Let's first rename this cloner object to cloner smaller. Duplicate it, rename it to cloner bigger. Delete what is inside it. Drag and drop the other. Drag and drop this object inside the second cloner. Select the second cloner, drag it to side to not intersect with the smaller one. That's good for now. Save the file. Come to side view, grab both of the cloner object, push them a little bit higher than middle point. Add a plane object, make it bigger. That's okay for now. On the plane object, add a collider body here. Hit play to see if everything is happening. Go back to a start, hit play. As you can see, all of them fall on the plane. That's good for now. Now let's add forces. Come here to simulation, forces, click on this. First we want to add a gravity force. Change its value to 10,000. Change mode to force. Add an attractor. Push it up. On the attractor, change it mode to force. Speed limit to 2000. We need to add keyframes for a strength. Turn on auto keyframe here. Change it to 0. Add a keyframe. Come to frame 120. 100. We don't have 120. First extend the whole timeline to something like a 1000 frame. Come here, type 120 to be on this frame. Change this strength to 1000. That's good. It's working. Let's also add a turbulence. Also we need to add the keyframe on the turbulence strength. Come to frame 0, change it to 0. Keyframe on the strength. Come to frame 120, change this strength to 1000. That's good for now. Let's hit play to see what we got. Come to first frame, hit play, wait. As you can see, they are moving in a manner that I'm happy about it. That's good. Come here, display constant shading. No, constant shading is terrible. Change it to quick shading lines. That's better for now. I like it. Okay, come back to frame 0. Come to side view, add a cube. On the cube, X and Z, increase its value and decrease the value on Y to be very short, but covers this object a little bit. You will understand why we need this. As you can see, a small portion of this object is inside this box. Let's add a volume builder, add a volume measure, put volume builder inside volume measure. Drag and drop volume measure here. They're both of the cloners inside volume builder. On the volume builder, change this voxel size to something like 4. Also add the cube that we just made inside the volume builder. Change their order also here on the volume builder. For the smaller, put at the top of hierarchy. Change its mode to subtract. You can see we are getting somewhere, and we added the cube for this kind of an effect. That this object blend inside this. That's good for now. Let's also add a controller. Add a null here, change its name to controller. Come here on user data, add user data, change its type to boolean, change its name to switch. Okay for now. Add an espresso tag on it, drag the controller here. On the user data, drag and drop the switch here. Drag both of this volume builder and volume measure here. On each of them, come here to basic. drag and drop enable as an input for them. Enable also here, connect the switch to both of them. And now each time we want to turn this on and off, we can simply come to controller, user data, and change this switch value. That's faster and more clean. For now, let's turn off the switch. Come to top view, make sure these two are off by turning off the switch. Come to first frame, add play. Wait until they are close enough and you're happy about what you're seeing. I wasn't happy about the result I was getting, so the solution was to change the attractor position to a lower state. As you can see, my attractor coordinate for Y is around 500 here. If you push it further down, there would be a problem. As you can see, the object tries to grab this attractor and whole thing ruined. So 500 is the value that I get a nice result. Wait a little bit, you can see all of attract to the center point. And on top side, and get a nice result. Other thing is, we added these parents as a shield for this object for them to not touch each other. If I re-enable this, if I make these parents visible here, these two, as you can see, they are touching each other, but we are working with the child of, we don't see their parents. So turn back, so change their visibility back to half. That's a good result. Let's continue. Now you can come to controller, check on this switch, and we are getting the result. We were expecting the smaller makes a hole, the bigger ones add up to the volume. And A here. Okay, close this for now, we don't want them anymore. Add an infinite light here. And A, no, and C is better. For the infinite light, we want a target object, so make a null on the infinite light. Search for target, add the tag, change the name of the null to target, drag and drop it to target object. On the light, come to top view, push it to the side. We want these lights in different position, so on the top view, hold control and drag to make 3 of them. And A, as you can see, we are getting this kind of light and shadow for these lights. Let's select all of them. Come here to detail tab, check off cast shadow, come back to object tag. For the intensity and exposure, enter values 1 and 3. For the color, I want them to be red for now. Let's come back to controller, check it off. Because I'm switching between the final file, this that I'm making here, there would be a simulation problem. Each time I switch, this may turn back to its default state. That's not a problem for now. Let's also add another infinite light. Copy this, duplicate this target tag on it. Come to side view, drag it up here on this new light. For intensity 1, for exposure, come to detail. Change this softness to something like to save the file. Let's also add a camera, duplicate the target tag on it, hold 0 to change its, reset its coordinate, drag it up, add another panel, change its display to something like quick shading with lines. Come here, RS camera, change its focal length on the object tag to 120, push the camera out. That's so. Let's come back to first frame, hit play again, make sure this window is selected. That's good. I want the camera to lower, so push it down. That's good. Save the file. Also come here to our controller, see that top of other object in object manager, check on the switch, and as you can see, we are getting. Save the file. Now let's see what we are getting on RS render. Play here. Come on, change this render to BRS camera. That's okay for now. Turn it back off, minimize it. Also minimize this view. Let's add a material. Double click here, open the material, search for max on noise here. On the type, select cell noise. Come here to input, change it overall scale to something like 100. Add a ramp. I select blue for this color, select whatever you want. Connect this output to alt input of ramp. Add a color layer here. Connect this as a color here. Change its blending mode to something like multiply for now. Let's also add wireframe here to applicate this ramp. And the color, I'll use a very light red here. Connect this wireframe to alt input of this ramp. Connect this to the base color. Connect every color here. Color didn't change here. I want this very light reddish color here. We can also play with the wire thickness here. Let's turn back on the RS render view to see what we are getting. Come on, RS camera here. Oh, we need to add this material to volume measure here. That's great, I love it. Okay, from the result you saw, and this I changed some values to see where it goes, and I got this result. There's no hard or strict rules, and from now on it depends on your creativity. On the material, I changed the roughness for the reflection to this value, 0.6. I also changed the position of the lights. As you can see, these are my lights position. You can see their coordinates also. I also changed the values for exposure and intensity on the lights. You can see them here. Another change that I applied is that I pushed down this cube in the volume measure a little lower, but it depends on what you want and what you want to achieve. And I got this result. Don't forget that the final project file link is in the description, and you can download and play around with exact this scene. Thank you. Bye bye.